The morning air was Colonel Frost clung to the edges of dumpsters. Rusty shivered. He was a dog of the streets. His fur was a matted, sandy color. Dirt and grime were his constant companions. For nearly 10 years, Rusty had known only this life. He lived in the shadows. He searched for scraps. He avoided people. People were trouble. They shouted. They threw things. Sometimes they kicked. Rusty learned early. Trust was dangerous. Hunger, however, was real. Hunger demanded action. So Rusty did what he always did. He searched. His nose led him behind an old bakery. The building stood 2 blocks from the river. The air smelled faintly of stale bread. He sniffed around overflowing bins. He pawed at discarded boxes. That was when he saw it. A black plastic garbage bag lay near a stack of broken wood. It looked torn. Something inside moved. A small twitch. Rusty froze. His ears perked. He sniffed the air cautiously. It did not smell like old food. It did not smell like garbage. It smelled different. Alive. Small. Helpless. He nudged the bag gently with his nose. The plastic tore a little more. Inside, curled tightly, was a baby. Tiny. So tiny. No older than a few days. Its skin looked pale. Its breathing was shallow. It was Colonel alone. Rusty stood perfectly still. The wind rustled the plastic. The baby did not cry. It barely seemed to breathe. A strange feeling washed over Rusty. It was not hunger. It was not fear. It was something deeper. An instinct he didn't know he possessed. Protect. Help. He looked around. The alley was empty. Dawn was just a faint gray line in the sky. No one was coming. He had to do something. He carefully, gently closed his teeth around the edge of the black bag. He lifted. The bundle was light, but awkward. He began to walk. His leg hurt. An old injury flared up. He limped, but he kept going. Where to go? He thought of the big white building. It stood on Maple Avenue. It always had lights on. People were always going in and out, day and night. He remembered the sounds. Sirens sometimes. People talking. Activity. Maybe they could help. Oak Valley General Hospital. The journey felt long. He kept his grip firm but gentle. He avoided obstacles. He crossed empty streets. The sun began to rise properly. The city started to wake up. Cars appeared. People walked on sidewalks. Rusty kept to the edges. He tried to be invisible. But he carried a strange bundle. He finally reached the hospital. The entrance was busy. Chaos. An ambulance sat with its back doors open. Paramedics were carefully unloading a patient on a stretcher. Nurses in scrubs hurried back and forth. Aides pushed wheelchairs. Phones rang inside. Rusty hesitated for a moment. So many people, so much noise. He took a step forward, toward the automatic glass doors. A receptionist inside looked up. Her eyes widened. "Hey, get out," she shouted, startled. She waved her hands. Someone else pushed him back gently but firmly with their foot. No dogs allowed. No one looked down. No one saw the black bag clutched in his mouth. No one noticed the faint movement inside. They only saw a dirty stray dog. A nuisance. Rusty felt a surge of panic. He couldn't leave. He couldn't just abandon the bundle. He turned. He saw a gap as the doors slid open for a nurse. He darted inside. Shouts followed him. Security. Stop that dog. Rusty ignored them. He ran. His paws scrambled on the polished floor. He dodged legs and rolling carts. He turned down a corridor, past supply closets, past vending machines buzzing quietly. He followed the signs, though he couldn't read them. He just kept moving. Deeper into the building. He found a room with an open door, a staff lounge. 3 nurses sat inside. They held coffee cups. They were talking quietly. 2 other nurses stood near a counter. They saw him immediately. "Shoo, get out of here," one nurse said, standing up. She waved her arms. The other standing nurse did the same. They tried to herd him back toward the hallway, but one nurse remained seated. A young woman. Her name was Clara Hayes. She looked closer. She didn't see just a stray dog. She saw something in his eyes. It wasn't fear. It wasn't aggression. It was intense focus, determination, and something else, pleading. She noticed the black bag in his mouth. It wasn't just trash. It moved again. A tiny, weak shift. Clara stood up slowly. She held out a hand, palm down. "Hey," she whispered softly. "It's okay. It's okay, boy." Rusty stopped trying to evade the other nurses. He looked at Clara. He saw something different in her eyes too. No anger, no fear, just quiet concern. He took a step toward her. He gently lowered his head. He placed the black plastic bag carefully on the floor at her feet. Then he stepped back. He sat down. He watched her. He whined softly. The other nurses fell silent. They stared, confused. What was happening? Clara dropped to her knees. Her heart pounded. She cautiously reached for the bag. She pulled the torn plastic open wider. What she saw made her gasp. A newborn baby. Its skin had a bluish tint. Its lips were pale. It was terrifyingly still. Was it breathing? She couldn't be sure. Oh my God, Clara breathed. Call a code. Get the crash team, now. Her voice, sharp with urgency, broke the spell. The other nurses snapped into action. One grabbed a phone. Another rushed out shouting for help. Within moments, the lounge filled with people. Doctors, more nurses, a respiratory therapist. They moved with practiced speed. One doctor gently scooped up the tiny baby. Got a pulse? Someone asked. Faint, thready, hypothermic, the doctor replied, checking vitals. The baby's skin was ice, Colonel. Its breathing was barely perceptible. But there was a flicker. A tiny spark of life still held on. Let's move, Niku, stat. They rushed the baby out of the lounge. The room emptied quickly. The chaos subsided. Only Clara remained. And Rusty, the dog, hadn't moved. He sat watching the doorway where the baby had disappeared. His body trembled slightly. Clara turned her attention back to the dog. The hero, this dirty, limping stray, had saved a life. She knelt again, slowly, carefully. She extended her hand. You did good, she whispered. You did so good. Rusty watched her hand. He hesitated. Years of harshness made him wary. But her voice was kind. Her eyes were soft. He leaned forward just a fraction. He allowed her fingers to touch the top of his head. Clara gently scratched behind his ears. Rusty closed his eyes. He leaned into her touch. A soft sigh escaped him. It felt strange. It felt wonderful. It was the first kind touch he had known in longer than he could remember. Maybe ever. 3 months passed. Life changed dramatically for Rusty. He was no longer a stray. Clara Hayes had taken him home that very same day. The hospital staff had agreed. He deserved a home. Clara couldn't bear the thought of him back on the streets after what he'd done. He went from a street survivor to a loyal companion. He had regular meals, a warm bed, gentle hands. He learned about toys. He learned about walks on a leash. He learned that not all humans were cruel. Clara was patient. She was kind. Rusty's sandy fur became cleaner, softer. The haunted look in his eyes began to fade, replaced by contentment, trust. The story wasn't over yet. One late afternoon, Clara came home from work. She moved slowly, carefully. She held a small bundle wrapped in soft blankets in her arms. Rusty stood up from his spot on the rug. He wagged his tail tentatively. He approached Clara. He sniffed the air. He knew that scent. He remembered it instantly. It was the baby. But the baby was different now. Healthy, warm, awake. No longer wrapped in a cold, dark trash bag. Wrapped in love. Wrapped in pink blankets. Clara sat down on the sofa. She cradled the baby gently. Rusty came closer. He lay down at her feet. He rested his head on his paws. He watched the baby with soft eyes. The baby cooed softly. It waved a tiny fist in the air. Clara smiled down at the infant, then looked at Rusty. Look, Rusty, she murmured. Look who's here. She's okay now, thanks to you. 3 lonely lives. A nurse who poured her heart into her work. A dog who had never known kindness. A baby abandoned at birth. All broken in their own ways. Now brought together. Made whole. Clara reached down. She stroked Rusty's head. The dog sighed happily. The baby yawned. A small, perfect family sat together in the quiet living room, formed by an impossible act of courage, a testament to the fact that sometimes the greatest heroes don't wear uniforms. Sometimes they have 4 paws and a coat of matted fur. Sometimes they are just waiting for a chance to show the goodness hidden inside.